Hello, hello. We are here. We did it. Oh my gosh. Today's the day. The Joypreneur Summit is starting. It's official. This is day one. Remember, this is a marathon. We're going to be here for 4 days over the next 5-ish weeks. And so really take a big deep breath, put us in the background, focus on the ones that you absolutely love, leave it in the background and let your brain get all the other goodness as you go about your day. But I'm so happy you're here. I can see people are coming in. Remember to light up that chat and say hello. I will take a look and I'll try to keep on top of your comments too. If you have questions for our speakers as we go through the summit, please do put them in the chat. So some of you are going like, what is this? It came in my thread. Who are you? What am I watching? Well, guess what? You are watching the Joypreneur Summit. It is featuring all of our members from the Positive Mindset Entrepreneurs Club. We are a club of people who understand that building your business the fun, light, and easy way is the way to go. So if you are sick of hearing everybody out in the world say, oh, you got to work hard and you got to get up at 5 a.m. and you got to grind, well, you're in the right place, because actually it's the opposite. The happier you are, the better you feel, the more fun you have, the more you follow your fun, light, and easy path, the faster your business grows. Why? Because you show up in the world in a better way when you're happy. You train your brain to look for good things in the world, and you end up getting opportunities and attracting the right people, and you feel like working. Like, let's face it, when we don't feel so good, we don't feel like working, right? So you're going to love meeting all of the different members we've got today from the Positive Mindset Entrepreneurs Club, including Louisa, who we will get to in just a moment. I want to give a shout out to everybody who is here live. Hey, Dee and Michelle and Sylvie and Mary and Muriel, and keep those comments coming in. I couldn't be more thrilled to present all of these amazing, awesome experts to you. Now, if you're wondering and you're saying, hey, how do I learn more about this awesome summit? Well, look at the link. Watch this fancy thing. Look what I can do. Look at the link in the description. Woo! Look at the link in the description and you'll get the full agenda, not only for today, but for future days that we do as well. And all of our speakers are going to give you a free gift. So definitely you want to look at that link in the description and opt in and get the list of free gifts, because we've got 4 days of free gifts coming your way. And I know you're going to love, if not all of them, nearly all of them. So it's definitely worth taking a look at. One last thing, because I know you're already saying, these people seem so cool. I definitely want to hang out with them on a regular basis. And so if that's you, then also check for the link in the description for the Positive Mindset Entrepreneurs Club. When you sign up now, right now, I will send you this in the mail. This is the pen of expectation. Whatever you write with it will come true. And yes, we do ship internationally. So without further ado, I cannot wait to introduce the very first person on the Joypreneur Summit. I'm here to talk with Louisa Dykstra. She is a revolutionary leadership guru. She's a best-selling author. She's the leader of thousands of direct sellers. Her jam is leadership, and she understands how to motivate people. She is passionate about bringing out the best in people. And she has some really interesting, exciting stories that I know you're going to love. And so without further ado, please welcome Louisa Dykstra. Woo, the crowd goes wild.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and thank you for hosting this summit.
Yeah,
the Joypreneur Summit. What a great word.
I know, right? I think we just have to start using it. Now, of course, I have to change the club name. So it's going to be like, I'll do it, but not right away. So you can still find us where you can find us. I'm so happy that you're here, Louisa. You've got so many good stories. And I was going to ask you if you could, you've been in the sandbox for so long, if you could even remember the before time. Like, do you even remember what life was like before you started choosing joy, as you can all see above our head, choosing joy and living your life from that place?
Yeah, I think so. I think one important thing is that I kind of was known as the worrier in my family, that I kind of had that. I know you're like, wait, I haven't known you for 15 years and that's not it.
That's shock.
Um, but I don't know. I felt like everybody was going to be safer if I thought of everything bad that could go wrong, you know? So, but, but, but getting into direct sales where, you know, like nobody tells you when to go to work, like, which is the beautiful thing. And also the biggest challenge is everything is between your own ears. The nice thing is I started my direct sales business about the time that you started the Mind Aware.
That's
And
great.
so I kind of didn't really learn any other way. I mean, I got to know you when you were interviewing people that were talking about the basics of the business, and that was very helpful. And then when I learned like your own mindset stuff that you teach, I'm like, Dana, why are you like interviewing all these other people? Just teach what you teach, which I love that about you, that you're always amplifying other people's work as evidenced by this summit. But so I feel like I learned good mindset habits for my whole direct sales business.
Wow.
But I also, the higher I went in my business, the more challenging the mental stuff becomes. So I think the clearest example of a shift for me, I was like 3 years into my business. Some things were going really well. There were a few things that I had stuck in my head that I was not good at. Right. And that's when you did, I think, the very first mastermind that was in person in Las Vegas. And even though I was like, seems really stupid to spend the money to go to this thing. And yet my gut was so clear, like, this is where you need to be. And it was a huge shift for me and just my own perception of what was possible.
You know, actually, if I remember correctly, what was the shift? If you're a direct seller, you know, I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of myths in direct selling about what you have to do to build a business, and Louisa here is going to bust all those. And I'm feeling like there was some kind of story at that time that had to do with that you were good at getting parties, but you weren't good at sponsoring or something like that. Is my memory right?
Well,
Or is it the
close.
opposite?
It's kind of the opposite, because I became known pretty quickly and like figured out I was really good at not only building people, you know, successful business builders, but also building other leaders and helping them get started. But the story I had was I'm not good at my own personal sales. So my team was growing a lot faster than my own personal business. And so that balance was off, and I was holding, I thought that was going to forever hold me back. So like, I'm a natural introvert. Like, I would so much rather get to know someone really well and talking about their deepest soul desires rather than meet new people 3 times a week, you know? So I understand why, I was more natural in coaching and helping my team develop and all of that. But I had to let go of that story that I'm not going to ever get to the top because I'm not good at the personal, you know, anyway.
Well, no, that's good to know, because I think
Yeah.
there are probably a lot of people listening to this who have similar stories like that. You know, we have these ideas because everybody tells us about what you need to do to get successful. And the model in direct sales is you need to talk to X number of people if you want to be successful. You know, and it turns out your natural skill of being able to go deep and talk to people is the thing that made you successful, and you continue to go on. And so it's really funny because I know a lot of people who come into the sandbox, they have these stories about whatever their industry is. Like, I have to do discovery calls, or I have to be on social media, or I have to be everywhere, posting on every social media platform, or all these ideas. And so we lead with these misconceptions when the reality is, if we really do follow our joy, if we really do choose joy and do the things. In fact, I'm going to tell a story about you now that is probably going to embarrass you, but we're live, so you can't do anything about it. This is the single best brain training story in the entire history of the sandbox. So get ready for it, because here it comes. So Louisa came into a program, the Celebrity Formula, and we were talking about, you know, potential things to do to build her business. And so I was listing a bunch of different ideas of things to do, because we're looking for the one that makes you go, ooh, that sounds good. So she asked me, she said, well, what happens if I don't want to do any of those. All I want to do is just watch Hugh Jackman videos. And I said, okay, let's try that. Do it. Watch Hugh Jackman videos and see what happens, right? So she did. Now I'm going to tell you, this is going to blow your mind right now. She not only followed her joy and did what she wanted to do and didn't feel guilty about it, felt the fun, felt the pleasure of it. She ended up writing a book, Hugh Jackman and the Joy Revolution, that became a bestseller. And she's now one of the admins on one of the fan pages. You know, she's met Hugh, like she's gone on. There's so much success that has come out of this. And it's all because she trusted herself enough to say, if I follow my feel good, it's going to work. You know, like, do you ever look back on that, Louisa, and go, that was madness. What was I even thinking? Or do you look back on it and go, yeah, I feel like I'm my own best case study.
And I mean, both, right?
Yeah.
So, because I even look back now and I'm thinking, how did I get from there to here? You know, like, it's not like there's a super clear, like, oh, that opened the door to whatever. But I would say the shift was there, like, shoulds are so strong in every part of life, but super strong in direct sales. Like, there's always a you have to do this to be successful. And also there's a feeling of it's never enough. Like some, whether it's external or internal, like, we're always like, it's just not enough. You got to do more and more and more and more and more. So I think the biggest thing that actually did for me was just clearing out the shoulds. And like it initially, I was feeling guilty for, like, why is this middle-aged Midwestern professional mother spending hours every evening watching interviews on YouTube with Hugh Jackman, right? Like, I can't tell people that's my real life. And when I just learned to relax and just follow that, like, I don't know why I'm so interested in this, but I am. And like, that blew open my own understanding of why joy is important and like how the brain works. And it wasn't even like, oh, I learned from him how to do it, because part of what I saw in him were, oh, I learned that he was really hard on himself. And he definitely had this story of, like, the reason I'm successful is because I'm so hard on myself. And I was like, I don't think that's true. But, you know, so I like, okay, well, we'll just gloss over that part when you write the book, right? Because 2019 is when the book came out. Well, now it's 2025, and I've learned so much since then about myself and the brain and about Hugh, and his world has changed. And guess what? He found a good therapist and learned that being kinder to himself, he's actually more successful, and he's enjoying life more. Wow. And he's learning to, like, put on his own oxygen mask first. Like, I've watched him go through this journey. So I unpublished the book because so much has changed since I published it. But that does not take away, first of all, the fact that I was brave enough to publish a book that says a lot of personal stuff about me. Wow. You know, never mind, like, writing an unauthorized biography of someone that, you know, my lawyers were like, yeah, you're probably okay. So, like, you know, like, there was a lot of just me, like, you know what, this might seem crazy, but I'm just going to do it. Yeah. And so that's what it opened up in me, is just that freedom to, like, you don't have to be like everybody else. Just go.
Yes. That is just it. That's the nugget right there. You do not have to be like everybody else. You can make your own path and be successful, and in fact, more successful than if you had done the traditional thing. You know, the traditional thing is write down your circle of influence and call all these people. And, you know, which path would you rather follow? The path that is like, this sounds like so fun, or the path that everybody else tells you is the thing to do, you know? So it's just so juicy and so good. I love it. You know, now, by the way, for those of you that are like, oh, I want a book from Louisa, just know she has an upcoming book coming out about revolutionary leadership. Leadership is her jam. And in fact, her freebie, if you make sure to look at the link in the description and go get Louisa's freebie, especially for those of you in direct sales, but this will help anybody with leadership. It's her actual template that she uses for coaching. So do go and check that out. So I'm wondering, when you see people come to you who want help with growing into leadership, what kinds of problems are they grappling with?
Yeah, so I love working with people that are kind of at the beginning of like, I kind of want to do this leadership thing, but I have a lot of thoughts about it. But I also like working with people who have been in direct sales for years. They've built a pretty strong team and they are burned out. Like, I have worked so hard to build this team and now nobody's doing anything. And, I just don't even want to build anymore because I feel like I've wasted all this. Like, that is my favorite person to work with, actually, because um, we can again get rid of all of the shoulds of the shoulds that they're placing on everybody else, and learn to coach in a different way, and all of a sudden you're going to be enjoying your job a whole lot more, and you're going to start seeing growth again because of learning how to talk to yourself and other people differently.
Yeah, and I think too, there are a lot of stories we tell ourselves that end up because of the reticular activating system. For those of you that are new to this channel, the reticular activating system is like a little matchmaker that lives in your head. Whatever you're thinking about and talking about, it matches in the outside world. And I think in leadership, especially in direct sales, we get a lot of these stories that sound like my people aren't doing anything, or I have to work too hard day and night because I'm doing my personal business and my team business, and or my people aren't listening to me, or those kinds of things. And so how much, like, what kind of advice would you give people who are going through those kind of experiences right now?
It's so and you say, like, what kind of advice would you give? Like, what kind of advice do I give on a
Yeah, do
weekly
you
basis?
give, right?
Because it's so real. And so I just was having a conversation with my leaders yesterday. And one of them was saying, like, I do all the things, like I talk about the business at the party and I ask everybody at checkout, and we just started digging into it. And trying to make a long story short, but what we came up with was, and this is the same thing with like getting rid of the shoulds and watching Hugh Jackman videos, is like, you can do 8 hours of action. And you feel like, I'm doing all the things, but it's like that analogy of, you can run the vacuum over the carpet over and over and over. But if you never plugged it in, like, your
Shout
energy
out
is
to Abraham
not gonna
Hicks for that
accomplish it.
one.
Yes,
That's a good
exactly. That analogy is so powerful. So
yeah.
when we started talking, she was like, "Oh yeah, I have this. Like, I've invested so much in my team in the past, and then they all disappeared, or I don't even really know what to do if somebody says yes right now. So I'm kind of going through the motions, but I have the energy of, I don't really want anybody to say yes, just unconsciously, like, she wasn't consciously aware of that. But the more we started uncovering what's going on inside your brain. So for every leader, which I would have a huge jar of nickels, who says, like, my people tell me what they want and I tell them what to do and they don't do it. Like, yeah, let's unpack how to help you get beyond that feeling stuck of, like, I told them the action to take and they didn't do it. Like, let me help them figure out what's going on inside their head so they can shift what's going on inside their head. And then, like, you don't even have to tell them what to do. Then they come up with the ideas and they're on fire. So
God, that's so
that's,
nice, isn't it? I just
yeah.
love that. And in fact, talk a little bit about how motivation comes from clarity and how you help people to get motivated. I really love this.
Yeah. And this also, I like, these are tidbits I've learned both from you and from Abraham Hicks. And the analogy that came together is that the formula is simply clarity plus belief. And so as a coach, like, it's a super simple formula in my head. And this is in my coaching outline, like, I start with, tell me what's going on. What's new? How are you feeling about your business? And then I'm listening like a detective for clues about, are we missing a clarity piece? Like, do they have lots of desires that are in conflict? Like, I want to work 6 nights a week and I want to be present for all of my children's baseball games. Like, okay, well, we have to figure out a different picture, because you've got several desires that are not meshing well. So let's find some clarity on what your life could look like. Or sometimes it's, um, I don't want to reach out and ask people to host because nobody wants to host right now, or all of my hosts have been flakes, like all these things that you realize this is why you're not taking action, because your belief is it's not going to work, so why would you put in the effort? Like, our brains are smart.
Yeah.
They don't want us to waste energy. So as a coach, if I can pull, is it a clarity issue, or is it a belief issue? And I use this analogy of train engines, like trains of thought, and there are want engines and there are belief engines. And if those two are pulling in opposite directions, this is why you're not taking action. Like, you've got a train with engines pulling opposite way. And of course you feel stuck.
So let me, want engine, belief engine, you're talking about, it was the thing you want has to be going in the same direction as the thing you believe, and vice versa. You can't want something and then have some story that doesn't line up with it, right?
Right. And as long as we're alive, we want things. And sometimes that's the first boundary, is people don't feel like they're allowed to want things. And so just helping people understand, like, listen, if you're alive, you can see what's next. And sometimes that's in the form of, I don't want this. And which is an okay starting point, but then
right.
that engine isn't going anywhere. So again, that's Abraham Hicks, like, use the clarity about what you don't want to shift the picture into what does that mean you do want, and then your engine can start going somewhere.
Totally. I love this so much. And I got to tell you, everybody in the audience loves it too. I love all of your comments. Light bulb moment for me. You are such a light. Clarity plus belief equals success. Clearing out the shoulds, all of this good stuff. And somebody asked, will you publish another book? And I got to that question first, didn't I? So good for me. Yeah, this is great. I love learning from you, all of the great stuff that's coming in. It's so good, Louisa. It's just so really, when you say it, it sounds like such common sense. But the reality is, the culture we live in, they give us this idea so much of a work ethic, that the more you work, the harder you work, the more successful you're going to be. And we buy it, like all of us buy it, that it's the way to go, but it's not, is it? It's not really about how hard you work.
It's so interesting, because I think when we look at people who are successful, we see the external, and even they don't know why they were successful. They can say, well, this is the action that I took that got me here. But that same action in the hands of someone who doesn't have any of the same thoughts is not going to bring about any of the same result. So these concepts of grit and all of, like, I'm like, why would, just the analogy of grit, like, if you have grit in your car engine, that's not a good thing, right? You don't just like, come on engine, work harder. Like, you change the oil, for crying out loud, right? So just the analogy of, like, the more miserable you are, the more successful you're going to be. Like, it doesn't even make sense. So that, like, this choose joy above my head, right? That's not about pretend everything's fine, right? Like, I've done a lot of study of toxic positivity, and I don't want any part of it, but it is about, your brain is going to work differently when you are at a higher emotional state. And so choose things to actively bring them into your life that bring you joy. And if you're having a super frustrating moment, yes, like, deal with the feeling, don't shove it away, either writing it out. What is it that's making you frustrated? Or sometimes it's just like, where am I feeling this in my body? And then we realize, like, I'm not in my body at all. But our body can really quickly process emotions if we'll just take the time to feel it. And then, like, don't sit there stuck and try to take action from a place of being frustrated. Feel the feeling, let it go for a walk, watch the birds for 5 minutes, turn on music, like, whatever, change your emotional state. And
You're so
then,
right. You're
like,
so right.
yeah.
Yeah, 1,000%. I'm so glad you brought up toxic positivity, because it's almost like, a way to shove out the idea that feeling good is a positive thing. Nobody here is saying walk around like a robot. We're saying, you know what, you're going to have bad days and you're going to have emotions. And
Mhm.
I love your comment about I'm not even in my body. Like, we don't even take time to feel those emotions.
Right.
But if we do just exactly what you said, key point, they actually go away pretty quickly if you just
Mhm.
acknowledge them and feel them. And to realize, tagline for this whole summit, happiness is practical. You know,
Yes.
if you can authentically feel happiness, your life just goes so much better. It just
Mhm.
goes so much better and things get so much easier. And so I just love
Because
it.
your brain is working so differently.
Yeah.
And so
Yes.
the idea that you have when you're in an emotional state here versus the idea that you have when you're here, like the results are going to be so different. So 8 hours of work here versus one idea here that maybe it takes you 15, 20 minutes to implement. And you feel kind of almost, I mean, I haven't, like, I feel guilty because it worked so well, like I'm cheating or something. But to realize, like, no, that's how it works. That's how your brain works.
You're totally right. Ideas are better. Your
Mhm.
decisions are better. Who you are in the world is better. You know,
Yes.
how you show up. Like, who wants to work with that person who comes in here like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
If you're that happy person, that's what you attract. So, so much good stuff. I want to shout out some favorite mantras from Louisa. Everything works out for me. Ooh, yeah. Everything works out for
Mhm.
me. Good question mantra here. How am I ahead? How am I ahead? You know, we're so busy telling ourselves we're behind all the time. And da, 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 I can allow this to be good. Oh, those are so good. I just love that.
Mhm.
Louisa, you know, we've done it before. I could talk to you for hours and hours. And so let's think of a parting shot. Like, if somebody's listening today, they're just getting into this, or even for people who are seasoned, we all can use new ideas. What would you say is the best, either like daily habit or exercise or technique? Like, what would you share?
I think I just want to give people freedom from the work before play idea. Like, you have to be miserable for a while, and then if you've done your miserable time, then you're allowed some joy. Like,
Wow.
that's just not how life works.
No.
And so that applies to parenting and, you know, um, managing, leading, like leading yourself, living, like, just to say, if things aren't working, please take a break, and let your brain shift, and everything's going to go so much better.
Wow. Everybody needed to hear that, myself included. It's so good to be reminded of that. And I just appreciate you so much, Louisa. Thank you so much for spending time here with us. This is just
Thank
so
you
much
for
fun.
having me. I'm so happy to kick off this summit.
I know. And we are just getting started. So let me tell you what we've got coming next. How cool was that? What was your favorite nugget that you got from Louisa? Light up that comment thread, because I know you are thinking of a lot of them. Remember to share this with friends. We are here all day long. I will be back at the top of the hour. When I come back, next, you're going to be meeting Kristen Carbone. She is an astrologer and she specializes in helping moms with teens and tweens. The things you're going to learn from her, though, are going to have to do with communication all around with anybody. You're going to get some powerful tips that you didn't even know were possible from Kristen. So do show up back for that. Remember, I got to find my cool new banner. Hold on. Here it is. Links in the description. Go check out the links in the description. And when you opt in for the summit, you're going to get everybody's freebies, not just Louisa's, but not only everybody who's on today, but everybody who's on the whole summit, and special sponsors. For example, we've got Robin Boschler. She's with Mary Kay, and she's going to actually send you something in the mail. What? Free gift in the mail? I'm in. Speaking of free gifts in the mail, remember, when you sign up for the Positive Mindset Entrepreneurs Club right now, I will send you this expectation pen in the mail. Whatever you write with it will come true. Very limited time offer. Do join us. Come and play in the sandbox. Get to know Louisa better. Get to know everybody on the summit. Come and hang out with us. We are fun and we know how to build our businesses the fun, light, and easy way. And I know you want to know that too. I'm so glad you're here. I will see you in 30 minutes. Oh, it's just so good, right? I am having a great time and I know you are too. Sit tight. More to come soon. Bye, everybody.